are there any changes to the last meeting's minutes? If not, then they'll stand approved. The next item is public comment. If there's anyone who is not on the agenda that would like to speak on any issue, we try to limit it to 5 minutes per spokesperson. If not, next item is item 6.
All right, Mayor and Commissioners, I would like to, if there's no objection, add a business item at the end of the meeting, an item 11F, which would be an executive session using the exemption related to personnel matters of non-elected personnel. And we'll have that language for you on a card or when we have them. Have it on the agenda so you can reference the statute in your motion. I'll get that for you during while we're talking about budget. So if there's no objection, we can add that 11F. All right.
Okay.
Item 6A, the governing body consideration and approval of allowing the mayor to proclaim May 10th through 16th as National Police Week.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried.
That's good. It would have been awkward if you
Yeah.
gone over there.
Since we've already given it to him.
6B, the Friends of Lee Richardson Zoo have presented their list of events for the coming year, and you have that letter in your packet. I think it describes 4 events. Only 3 of those require action by the City Commission, and they relate to closure of the zoo, and then also permission to sell or distribute beer and or wine at some of the events. So I will, they're numbered 1, 3, and 4. Number 2 actually didn't require any commission action. So number 1, hullabaloo at the zoo. The governing body would need to authorize closure at 4 p.m. and permission to sell beer and other cereal malt beverage under a temporary CMB license and authorization to charge an admission fee.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried.
And there are other requests that were those things that the staff can review and consider. Those were all approved, I guess, on all of these items too. I should have mentioned that. A wild affair, item number 3 on the agenda, closure of the zoo all day, permission to sell alcohol in the form of wine and beer, and authorization to charge an admission fee on September 12th.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried.
For item 6B4, Boo at the Zoo, closure of the zoo and authorization to charge an admission fee. October 17th is the date of the event.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Item 7A, we received our letter from the Finnip Foundation that they granted the request from the park and the zoo departments, and also granted our request to set another $10,000 aside in the Finnip Foundation Trust identified for land acquisitions that may come available in the future in and around the areas of Finnip Park and Finnip Scout Park. We sure appreciate the Finnip Foundation's investment into our system. Item 7B, Aquatics Director Colburn from the Recreation Commission provided a memorandum updating the Rec Commission's progress at the swimming pool. Really those are preparations at the swimming pool. The city's completed the emergency repairs. Her update has to do with their preparations. The pool won't be open Memorial Day weekend. I believe they're targeting the weekend following.
So do you suspect, I mean, I read the letter, but do you suspect that it might get pushed back even further with the rains that we're having? Just depends.
Can't paint.
That would
Depend on
That's for sure.
Well, I don't believe there's any painting that remains.
Oh, isn't?
They're not painting the floor, they've painted the
Lanes.
blue lines and the lanes. So, it'd be me completely speculating. So I think that's probably a better question for them, and I'll be sure to ask them and give you all an update as we receive them.
Sounds good. Thank you.
As far as the staff reports, the appointment numbers from the airport, the building numbers, code enforcement, cemetery financials, fire department road reports, capital improvement projects, and a zoo report. You might notice there was a dip in airline enplanements. We believe those were the result of some weather and a couple of equipment, but mostly weather-related cancellations. Many of those having to do more with the weather in Dallas than the weather in Garden City, but certainly cancellations, weather-related cancellations this spring played a role in the drop in April flights. So, we don't suspect at this point that the trend is anything we should be concerned about, or anything that we would have the impression we would have the control over. It isn't a performance issue with the airline. Performance issue with Mother Nature. That'll draw your attention to meetings of note. I'd also just remind anybody listening live or watching live, if you've got questions regarding the Garden City Wind opener tonight, it is scheduled to play. Their words, it's why we chose a turf field. So the warning track's not turf, and so that'll present a problem. Other than that, it's moist, and they plan on it being a go. The parking lot will be muddy, so keep in mind it's okay to park in area hard surface parking lots or on the street and walk a couple blocks. Might ensure that you are able to leave later. So anyways, 6:38 is the start time, and I believe you might still be able to get tickets online.
Can you buy at the game?
If they aren't sold out, you'd be able to buy
And
it.
are they selling that?
I don't know. They were saying that they were close.
Okay.
Wow, good. There is on meetings a note one that has been canceled. It's May 21st for the Chamber of Commerce legislative copy.
Okay.
They're not back yet.
Probably won't be.
With that, I think we're ready
Are
for
we?
item.
Parade for the Beef Empire Days.
Oh, okay.
We are?
Do you want
Parade?
Yes.
to? Do you want to?
Sure.
Just give us a in to let everybody know who's going. Probably. All right.
June 6th.
Oh, that's for kids.
Kids,
Dan.
no.
Well, that's all right. I'm a kid.
June 13th.
Oh, 13th.
We-
Oh. June 13th, 10:30.
Okay.
I missed that too.
With that, I think we're ready for 8A, the appropriation ordinance, which if approved would be number 2388-2015A.
So moved.
I'll second.
20, was it?
2388-2015A.
Okay.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Item 9A, which if approved would be resolution number 2632-2015. A resolution encouraging efforts to maintain the Southwest Chief Passenger Rail Service through the state of Colorado and pledge financial participation in La Junta, Colorado's application of Tiger 7 funds, or 4 Tiger 7 funds. This is a project being constructed similar to the one that was submitted for Tiger 6 that the city of Garden City was the applicant of record for. And it's really the same strategy by the communities that make up the Southwest Kansas Rural Rail Partnership. And our recommendation would be to approve the resolution which authorizes the $12,500 in local pledge.
What was the number again?
2632.
Also moved.
I'll second. There's been a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Item 9B, which if approved, would be resolution number 2633-2015, authorizes the City of Garden City to enter into a municipal lease purchase agreement for police department equipment.
This is,
These are actually resolutions that were already passed and approved. However, the leasing company required the new mayor's signature to be, so we had to do a new resolution.
I make a motion, we approve resolution 2633-2015.
Second.
And there's been a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried.
C accomplishes the same thing, and if approved, that's resolution 2634-2015.
Make a motion to approve 2634-2015.
second.
And there's a motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Item 10A, the governing body is asked to concur with the Kansas Avenue widening project selection committee's recommendation for a consulting engineering firm to provide construction engineering and right-of-way acquisition services. Steve?
Yeah, we solicited letters of interest from about half a dozen consulting firms. We had 5 respond. Selection committee, Commissioner Fankhauser, myself, and Assistant City Engineer Harper shortlisted to 3 that are identified in the memo. SMH withdrew due to some health problems with personnel that affected their ability to be able to program something this fall or spring. So we conducted phone interviews with Kirkham Michael and Earls Engineering, and recommending negotiating contract for the right-of-way and inspection services with Earls Engineering and Inspection, Inc.
Make a motion, we approve service contract with Earls Engineering Inspection Incorporated.
Second.
There's been a motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Thank you.
On item 10B, City Attorney and I are going to recommend that we consider this item on June 2nd, and Randy can give you a brief overview. And if it's your decision to not move it to June 2nd and consider it now, then I would advise you to wait until 2 p.m. But if you are going to take our recommendation, I think we can not consider it and get word out so that folks planning on attending it too wouldn't waste a trip.
Yeah. There's been a request by Wheatland Electric Cooperative, Inc. that the consideration of the governing body for a franchise agreement with Wheatland that decision be extended to June 2nd, and I would suggest that it be at 2 o'clock at your next meeting on June 2nd.
I don't have
Any objection to that?
No objection.
Would somebody make a motion to reschedule that meeting? It's not a hearing, it's a meeting for June 2nd at 2 o'clock.
I make a motion that we reschedule the consideration of the franchise agreement for 2 o'clock on June 2nd.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Mike, would you mind letting
Bruce know.
those who were going to attend, Bruce? 11A, governing bodies consideration of the discharge of fire. Governing bodies consideration of firework discharge in the city limits.
Is there anyone here from the public that would like to comment? If you'll step forward and state your name, please.
My name is Glenda Hopkins. I'm on the board of the Finney County Humane Society, and the society as a whole would request that you not lengthen the time that fireworks are legal. As a pet owner and part of the Humane Society, pet owners have to drug their animals a lot of times, because of the fear that the noise generates in them. Even keeping them inside with windows closed and music is just usually unbearable for them. As a resident, I truly hate the 4th of July because of the noise, the sulfur smell, the smoke. My husband and I both have asthma. We go outside and it's hard to even breathe. We find spent fireworks in our yard, even though we don't fire them off. The city streets are littered with fireworks constantly. I was also the veterans representative for 29 years here. Please consider our veterans that fought in war that have to tolerate this noise that brings back the terrible memories of war. So, as I said, I would request that you do not lengthen the time. I'm sure that people that want to celebrate, I hesitate to think that even a small fraction of them actually realize what they are celebrating. But I think that a few days would be sufficient for celebrating that time. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
We've got it set up for,
In the past, it's been July 3rd through the 5th, and the consideration is lengthening it to the 27th to the 5th.
What did the county decide? Did the county decide to stay with the dates?
Whatever dates you decide on is the one that they will honor.
So
When I spoke with them, they said that they would wait to see what the city commission approved, and then whatever you approved would be what they would put in there. So.
As far as sales go,
No,
just for discharge.
in
Sales.
city limits.
Sales will still be the 27th to the 5th.
State law allows it to
Right.
27th to the
Okay.
5th.
And currently,
It's the
It's
3rd
third
through
through
the
the-
5th.
5th. Yeah, I wouldn't want it any longer than that.
I'll move that we leave it the same, that it's July 3rd to July 5th.
Same time.
From 10:30 a.m. to 10:30 p.m.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I want to discuss that. By doing it, people are still going to buy them. They're still going to discharge them.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to task the police department with a problem that they cannot do.
To enforce it.
They can't enforce it. It's too much. So, and not only that, you'll find some people will go out into the county to shoot. And when they do that, you could in fact increase the number of fires in the county, in the riverbeds or wherever. So I think that in order for us to be able to enforce it, to keep it as safe as we possibly can, we need to have it on the 27th through the 5th.
Personally, the holiday is July the 4th, and personally myself, I would just assume that we celebrate it for the actual holiday it is, as opposed to using it as a reason to blow up stuff, to have fun. But the 3rd through the 5th is fine, but I can speak from personal experience what the fireworks did to my dogs. They're gone now, but
Drove
so
nuts.
yes, they were scared to death, but.
And I just think that we're just tasking the police department
I see that side
something that
too.
they can't do it, and if they issue tickets, they're gonna be at the municipal court bogging that down. I just think that we should just, if we're gonna allow, if the state allows it, and as long as the county isn't gonna change that sale date, we should just go ahead and permit it.
I had in mind maybe a compromise in between the 1st and the 5th or something like that, as it just kind of help both ways, and, you know, with the pets and some people's personal dislike, you know, that's matters, and it's real, so, you know, but at the same time, you know, lots of people are celebrating it for the right reason, and we do want to find something in the middle, so, you know, it doesn't have to be the 27th or the 3rd, it could be something in between also.
Well, what, have we always done it just 3 days? Is that,
For the last 2 years, we've done it 3 days, yes. At one time, we did not allow fireworks in the city at all, and we had a large amount of fires in the county.
right?
The last several years, we've allowed them to discharge inside the city, and the fire calls have dropped almost to nothing. We've had 2 years with no fire calls, and then in 13, we had 7 fireworks-related fireworks, and then there was another 13 in the county. We couldn't determine whether they were fireworks-related or not, but the number of fires have dropped down tremendously. And my thought on the 27th through the 5th is that is when the state allows them to be discharged. We would rather have the people out in the open discharging fireworks as to be hiding somewhere because they're not allowed to discharge them, and the potential fire goes up and you're starting to hide in different areas. Or as Commissioner Dale mentioned, going out into the county and discharging fireworks, which we all know when they go on sale on the 27th, they begin to discharge them. And that goes through the entire 27th. through the
We
5th.
can't control that, but, I don't know. Police department.
Chief Shelton and I have been discussing this, and on behalf of the police department, we're running on an average during this time frame about 140 to 150 calls a year over the last 3 years. We're not able, by the time we get there, usually it's a call from a citizen that calls and complains. But with the laws of arrest, by the time we get there, unless the citizen signs a complaint, our hands are tied on enforcement action. And majority of the time, they're not wanting to call out their neighbors on a complaint. They just want it to stop. So by the time we get there, the remnants are in the street or out in the yards, and it is hard to manage. So between our discussions with staff at the police department and the staff at the fire department, we're echoing Chief Shelton's sentiments about trying to manage this between the time frames given and see how it goes this year and reevaluate it.
Are we gonna have a public display on the 4th?
Yes, we are.
Are we? So there'll be a lot of them discharged then, usually down at the 3-eye lot,
In years past, usually-
exhibition lot, whatever you wanna
on
call
the
it.
4th is generally when most people do discharge them. But we do have some that will discharge before that. Another thought that we put into this was when they go on sale on the 27th and we do not allow them to be discharged until the 3rd, anybody, I mean, here we are selling them, and then people, if they don't get through the news media, they can't discharge them, then there's a possibility they could be arrested or fined for it, so.
Is there any chance that at the fireworks stations that we could post a sign what our waiver states when it can be discharged? That might help with communication. I don't know if can we do that legally?
Sure.
Voluntarily.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could make up some sheets for them or something.
Well, we do that similar thing down at the fairgrounds when the fireworks show is that we've handed out flyers in the past that know not to shoot off fireworks during that time frame in the 3-eye lots.
Any further discussion?
Call for the vote.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye, or nay?
So 3 nays?
Nay, yeah.
Okay, okay, so it failed.
Okay.
Do we have another motion?
And I make a motion that we comply with the same hours of sale on the 27th through the 5th of July.
Second?
There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Pass through.
2 nays, 3 yeas.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Item 11B, the governing body asked to accept the low bid from Smoky Hill in the amount of $1,433,572.90, subject to FAA concurrence and full grant approval. This requires also the governing body to consider authorizing the city manager to execute the FAA grant application and the governing body's authorization for the mayor and city clerk to execute the contracts when they are received from the contractor. So I think those could be done in 3 separate actions, Randy? Is that
Yes.
appropriate? So the first would be 11B, the acceptance of the low bid.
Make a motion to approve the acceptance of the low bid from Smoky Hill LLC in the amount of $1,453,572.90, subject to the FAA concurrence and full grant approval.
I'll second.
There's been a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Make a motion to authorize the city manager to execute the FAA grant application.
I'll second.
There's been a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Make a motion to authorize the mayor and the city clerk to execute the contracts when received from the contractor.
Second?
It's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Next time I'll invite Melinda to
Thanks for
come
showing
up and
Wow.
there she goes.
You're mad, aren't you?
Yeah.
He's a taskmaster, I tell you.
Items 11C, Finance Director Hitz will be present, there she is, to discuss the enterprise funds.
Good afternoon.
Aye.
We're going to start out with the golf course, and we've got Cole and Toby, I think, is on his way.
Let's see.
Moving water around.
Okay.
Seriously?
I think I
I mean,
told
moving,
him.
trying to move water around, it's standing.
I think I may have told him 2 o'clock. You guys are just going through everything really quick today.
May 19th.
How much rain have we got? What do you know?
Close to 2 months.
Wow.
Today?
Today?
Today,
Oh, wow.
been a little about an inch for 11 o'clock.
Excellent.
Okay. So we started out 2015 with $50,163 cash in the bank at the first of the year. The revenues that go into the golf course, we have green fees. We usually budget those pretty stable. We're budgeting $145,000 this year, $150,000 next year. We also have memberships, looking at $110,000 in 2015 and $120,000 in 2016. We've got golf cart rental, $165,000 this year, $170,000 next year. Driving range, $18,000 and $20,000. We also have clubhouse concessions, right around $85,000 a year going in there. We've made some changes with the transfers that we do from the electric fund to community trust and all of this. So the electric fund, you're going to find is transferring all into the general fund. So then we take the general fund capital improvement and do our transfer to the golf course here starting in 15 and 16. Otherwise, we're just transferring from one fund to another, and it's a lot more simpler to talk about the golf course and say that it's pretty well supported by, sales tax money that comes into town. So anyway, for this year, there's $400,000 from the general fund going into the golf course, and we're looking at $425,000 for 16. And then the transfer rec and park, we've got a lot of extra funds in there. And I'll talk to you about the expenses, why we're needing $70,000 this year. And then we're going to back it back down to 25. So when we go through the expenses, I'll show you what the increase in that transfer is for. So So then we come into, we have two areas in the golf course, and that's clubhouse and then the operations. The clubhouse and concessions is run by Cole Wassinger, and he has 3 full-time employees in this area, plus the seasonal people that he needs during the busy season. So we have the clubhouse concessions manager was budgeted for, but we've changed that position into 2 golf course professionals that'll work under Cole. So he has 2 of those, $58,000 this year because it just started as a new position, and then we're looking at $77,000 next year. And then we've got the golf course professional. So then we have the benefits that go along with those salaries. And all of the other expenses coming down through here are pretty normal expenses that we've had in the past. Travel and training and all of the supplies and everything needed in the clubhouse. But if we can go down to golf course building and grounds, 60/20, we've got 80,000 in there. We just recently formed a Friends of Buffalo Dunes, and that's a not-for-profit organization. You have how many board members on that?
There's 5.
There's 5. This group is going to diligently go out and try to raise funds, but they didn't have a document that they could take to the public, like a master plan on what we would like to see happen at the golf course that's been approved by the city commission. So I think this organization is going to have a lot more to work off of if they have a document that the public knows has been approved by you. So we have a master plan in the works for this year, and that we're budgeting that at $30,000. And then we also have another big project that has been on the books for a long time, and it's been on the books at a very large number for a long time, and that's the fiber connection to the golf course, taking the fiber from the highway into the clubhouse area. Right now, we have an irrigation system that we spent a lot of money on that Toby ought to be able to run from his house in Garden City, and he can't because he can't get hooked up to the internet.
Can't we do it by satellite?
We tried.
Didn't work?
We just don't have internet. We have satellite internet out there now.
Wanna come up and
Satellite
talk about
internet.
that?
So, huh?
I said, that's what I mean, satellite internet.
Well, I don't
But
know.
it has to be probably a higher speed than.
Yeah.
Than what we
they're
could,
doing over the-
than what we could do.
I see.
So how much is that, Brent? How much? is it?
25,000 to get that fiber
It seems
into.
high for just running it.
Well, we had it priced at 80,000 at one time,
How
so
far are we running? How far are we running it?
Well, quite a ways. When you
Quarter
talk, you're
mile.
running from the highway to the clubhouse to the maintenance shop.
Oh, you're going clear to.
Well, we have to go to the maintenance shop because to run the irrigation
Right.
system. So, but with these large tournaments coming in, for example, the semester tour, the AJGA, the Southwest Kansas Pro-Am, we just don't have internet to run those events, and we have to, basically beg, borrow, and plead to run these events. And with us, future events like the 2017 Division I AJCA event, we need internet. So, and since it's on our entrance and we got it at a significantly lower price, it's going to be really good for our operations.
Jennifer's been working with the IT department, and so this is one of the projects that she was asked to address, and if you'd like to.
Yeah, I was just gonna add, the current speed that the golf course uses is they get about three MBs going up and 1.5 going down, which is really, really slow. They're getting 50 with this, which is gonna allow video streaming. They're gonna have 4 TVs in the clubhouse. They're going to have 1 TV in the training facility. This includes all construction costs. So they're boring under the parking lot at the golf course. They also have to get permits. I believe it's 6 miles that they're actually going. They have to get a couple different permits. They're going from Southwind they're going to go through the hookup at Southwind. We looked at a lot of different options to try and get this done, and Cox worked with us to finally get the number down to 25,000. And the service they're providing is phenomenal for what we're paying in construction costs. I worked with Mike a little bit to see if we could do the construction ourselves, and it was going to be more than that for us to do the construction. So the other thing is that for the slow speed that we were getting, we were paying almost $200 a month, and we're getting like I said, $50 for an additional $200 a month. So it's pretty incredible what they're going to be able to do, and the tournaments and stuff that they're getting to host. In the past, we haven't been able to facilitate what they need, so.
Well, it's important that you guys have the technology that you need in order to host these kind of major events, so.
And also, people who are using Buffalo Dunes, they're not able to get on a Wi-Fi when they're at the clubhouse because we don't have the capability to do that, and now we will. Now, we'll have the capability, just like you were saying at a Hilton hotel, the Wi-Fi access that customers have that stay there, they will have the golf course for anyone who's in the clubhouse.
Will we have that up by this year then?
Yeah, it's.
June 8th.
Yeah, June 8th.
Oh, wow.
Pretty quickly. Yeah.
That's impressive.
It was, yeah.
Okay.
So.
They're gonna start digging right after this meeting.
When the ground's nice and
Land
wet.
will be soft.
Nice and wet.
It's sandy out there, the wetter the better.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay.
But the main importance of this was for the irrigation system. We spent, close to $800,000 on that system and didn't have the technology to run it like it was supposed to be ran. So anyway, that's why there's a little bit extra transfer from Special Rec and Parks to take care of these two projects, which worked out really nice. And then new equipment office, $10,000 both years. That's going to be just for needed new equipment in the pro shop.
Is that why the cash balance is so low then?
Yeah.
For the following year?
Yeah.
Well, and I like the idea of having a master plan. I think that's a good idea.
I was gonna ask, I had it written down when I was going through this, how will it get going with Friends of Buffalo Dunes?
It's going well. We're working with Jake Cunningham from Gary Griselle and finalizing all of our documents to get the 501c3 finally up and going. We should have that within the next couple months, depending on the IRS timing. Fundraising, we haven't really kicked off fundraising yet because we don't have the designation, but this group's been working pretty hard to kind of develop this master plan that we hope we'll have by September. We hope we have it kind of as the semester tour event this year, and we can kind of kick off our fundraising for the stuff in the master plan. So
Sounds good.
we're excited about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I have included in this information the master plan contract, and then also the estimate with Cox Communications, so that you have that information. So both of those have been worked out. I think we're ready to roll on it. As far as the golf course operations, we have 6 full-time people in this area. So you can see the total salaries there, along with the benefits. There's really no new expenses, just basically repairing grounds and keeping the grass looking wonderful with the fertilizer, insecticide, and all that. As far as new equipment goes, on the next page, this year we've got 2 gators that we are purchasing in 2015. In fact, that's already done. There's a Fairway mower lease payment that was done in a previous year, $8,384. Bobcat buyback, $4,000 each year. Next year, we're requesting a pickup for $27,000 in 2016. So that gives you pretty much, we have $1,037,900 in 2015 for expenses and $984,700 in 2016. We had some 2 one-time payments there.
So, break
Yep.
even.
Yeah, so Cole
Close.
knows that he needs to really work on memberships, dollars, bringing new people in. And
Well, these tournaments will help though, won't they?
They will.
Okay.
And it's hard to monetize exactly what we bring into the community. We may not see dollars at the golf course, but a lot of charity events that we do, for whether it's United Way or Real Men, Real Leaders, we do a lot of those types of events for, and then the AJGA, we just got the field yesterday, and there's 33 different states coming to Garden City to play a golf event for 7 days. So
What's the dates on that?
that is June 15th through the 19th.
This year? Okay.
We have our
38
third time hosting that event.
Yeah.
Which is pretty neat.
You got any questions for Toby as far as the grants?
He's getting off
He's just glad he can control the water from his house now.
And it's raining.
And it's raining, yeah.
So turn it off, please.
The only thing this doesn't show is the bond that we took out for the irrigation system.
That's exactly right. That's paid for out of bonding
Out of
interest.
bond,
Yeah,
So if you added that in,
yeah. You would really be
Wouldn't be.
in the red.
yeah.
Yeah. There's a little fund that we have, golf course building, that we put a portion of the fees in. They try to do a little bit of fundraising in that miscellaneous revenue line item with a little benefit golf tournament. And then we also collect money for advertising on the T signs. And then they try to pick a project every year, either at the clubhouse or somewhere on the grounds with that money. Okay, any questions for the golf people before we move on? Nope.
Solid waste.
Solid waste. We carried over $1,395,920 starting 2015. We're not looking at any rate increase, but you will find some information back there on some analysis on rate increases when we get back to the back. Of course, we have penalties on our utility bills that is collected. Recycling sales, we're budgeting $50,000 each year on that. So we have a total available 2015 of $4,827,250 and $4,871,000 in 2016.
So the recycling program costs us $50,000.
Well, we have revenue of $50,000 coming in.
This is.
But we're going to come to this area where you're going to see how much recycling costs you, and then
Yeah,
you'll see how that compares to the revenue. Solid waste operations, we have 21 full-time positions in the operational part of solid waste. So you have those salaries along with the benefits. The biggest line item in solid waste would be your landfill charges. We're projecting $905,750 this year, $980 next year. The next page, repair vehicles, that's also a pretty large line item with the equipment that we have in solid waste. Gas, fuel, and diesel is another large one. And Sam, if you want to come in and talk about your new equipment on your vehicles and explain what's going on there.
Well, this year we're buying a new side loader, and you approved a new front loader, because we didn't have a backup to our front loader. And then in 2016, we're back to replacing a side loader. And then also our buyback on our skid loader that we use in recycling. So those, pretty normal. And then our containers are over on the right-hand side of that page. We replaced about 250 a year of 3-yarders.
Are the vinyl ones working out? Or wherever they are?
They moved all the way to the East Coast, so it's really expensive to get them shipped over here, so we're back to metal now.
So we've got the operational budget set at $3,269,250 for 2015 and $3,172,250 in 2016. The next section in solid waste is the recycling. We have 3 full-time employees and 3 temporary seasonals in this area. So you see the salaries and benefits for those. And then just the normal operation expenses that total $36,250 in 2015 and $37,900 in 2016. So recycling here in 2015, total expenses are $218,250, and for 2016, $222,750. We've got a cash carryover going into 2016 that we budget for at $1,476,000.
The employees in recycling, this is the first year that I'm proposing the 2 temps. They have not been hired, so they're just a proposal this year, and then there is 1 additional employee in operation which is an office clerk. I'm proposing that as well. So those have not been hired, but they're sitting in that budget.
We also, in solid waste, have the equipment request page, which I think is really good information that
Fee.
shows you 2015 and 2016 proposed, and then another 5-year plan going out from there. We try to keep the equipment purchases on an even basis, and I think you've done a very good job on that.
Yeah, this is, and we're, just kind of for your information, there's been a multi-year organizational push to have this sort of equipment management plan, and hopefully we're getting closer to that, but it's really sort of modeled after what Sam does in planning out his budget. So this, if you like this, that's what we're trying to move towards. If you don't like this, now we may be time to help.
Well, it gives it, I like it because it gives us an idea of, you know, we always ask about, you know, how old the units are, and how many miles, and it gives us a good idea, and then kind of where you're at on purchasing.
And there's consistency from year to year.
Right.
Mhm.
And right now, it's never a big deal until you're in the year where suddenly you have to replace 10 pieces of equipment.
Right.
All the, you know, we look a little uncoordinated when that happens.
Sure.
Sam, do you want to talk about your rate analysis here? Because I think it's also another good.
A couple of years ago, the commission approved a increase every year. So this just follows your increase for every year. We're increasing the residential rates by 50 cents across the board. So this kind of shows you where we're falling at the end of the process and what we're projecting for carryover. There is some future needs in solid waste for buildings. The recycling center needs to be expanded. We're at capacity right now if we want to do. So that reserve is getting to a point where we can start probably using that to build buildings. That would be my proposal.
And does blue indicate our speculation about when the landfill would increase their rates, or is that a contract, is that in a contract we have right now with the landfill?
That is a contract. So those are the designated years that the increase will happen at the landfill.
That's another good schedule that I like.
Thank you.
Okay, Fund 79, drainage utility. We carried over into 2015, 399, 384. We get around a little over 200,000 every year through utility collection, billing fees. We have available in 2015, 607,150. We have one employee in this area, along with the benefits, and a few projects budgeted for in 2015 and 2016 totaling $50,000. And payment to contractors. You want to talk about what's going on in here?
Yeah, the only big change that we did in this budget this year is we're adding about $35,000 into the contract to start doing our annual cleaning of storm mains, like the water department and sewer department, what they're doing. We're in turn going to start doing that. So we added that this year, but we kept it within the $200,000 that we're getting. The only thing that really this fund is doing is just pure maintenance of our facilities. If someday that we want to have a funding source to do projects, then we're going to have to relook at the rates on this fund if we want to get to that point. Hopefully we're going to have a committee together, and that's one of the things they'll be reviewing to bring to you.
So the total expense, oh, go ahead.
Are there issues then with the drain? I mean, or are you just trying to get ahead of it so you're getting?
Well, one thing I want to do on that cleaning is while we're cleaning, we're also going to be cammering to look for stuff that's failing so we can get in there before it does fail. And then also, I'm sure we've got some areas that through our sealing process, we've got extra sand in there and we need to get that cleaned out. Our system is really flat. So we really need to keep it as clean as we can, especially up at 5 Points. We've cleaned that already twice. Our object is just to make sure that we get ahead of the curve on damage or make sure that we got flow.
So for 2015, total expenses, 205,600, carried over 401,550 into 2016. And total expenses in 2016, 208,300, anticipate carrying over 401. So, and then there's the rate analysis also attached to this one. So that's some good information there too.
This is the first year I've provided this information to kind of track how we're heading down the road with maintenance and how our carryover. You're going to see in 2021 that we're going to start going the wrong direction with our reserve. So at some point in time, there will be need to do a rate increase.
That'd be another deal where why wouldn't we be looking at, in the next few years, starting some kind of, get it a little bit ahead of it, not, even if it's a 20 cents.
Much.
10, 20 cents, something like that. Just-
$1.50, is that what?
Yeah, and I think that's when we get this new board together and they start going through our rate analysis, I'm hoping some of this comes to you pretty early.
Sam, there's some areas of town that routinely, like on a day like today, if it's very flat, they store water until the system catches up. And, really a drainage utility would be designed to, at some point in time, try to address that or acknowledge that in some form or fashion. This cap balance wouldn't touch one of those projects.
Yeah.
I mean, they're missing it by another zero.
Right.
So is this really kind of, is this utility at this point funded to a level to address drainage issues or simply to manage the maintenance of the drainage utility infrastructure we have in place now?
Just to maintain. There is some smaller projects, and we're working on some to improve some of these flat areas that we have ponding. We can take care of some of them, but the big projects down Center Street, Main Street, those types of things, this fund does not handle that.
Those are projects where you have to make something flat, unflat, either above the ground or subterranean.
But where do you
or
take it?
Buying properties, you either buy properties and store it, or you go subterranean with a monster
Viaduct.
system
Yeah.
that,
But I mean,
that still, your options of draining, anything north of Kansas Avenue, your options of draining of the ditch or the Forest Park Lake, and there's not enough drops. So it almost becomes a subterranean storage system that's just going to fill up. A few
the
minutes
college
later
has
than,
a nice big hole out there. You can put a lot of water in there.
if you could drop towards it, but it could be uphill from most of the places that are flooding right now.
Yeah. The problem is getting the water
we
to it.
We don't flood in Garden City. We have high water.
Through this utility, we have made some improvements to our systems, but the big improvements, we're gonna have to find a different funding source or make a rate increase on this.
Well, at the very least, this rate ought to keep up with normal inflation of expense.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. For at least a few years.
I definitely recommend, I don't know what the other commissioners, but definitely kind of an annual possible increase. I mean, then it would keep up with where our expenses are at, kind
Plus-
of what we've done with the others.
plus start to build a reserve, even if small, something.
Okay, we'll come back to you. Thank you.
I guess,
Sounds good.
analysis of, maybe it's good today and for the next 2 or 3 years, but at what point is it not keeping up? And you've laid that out, but I think we get
I'd
a
rather
little
get ahead of
bit.
it when we're trying to catch up. But the 35,000 on the cleanings will help with the water flow and some of the other issues then.
We're hoping to find some areas that are blocked, that we can open them up, help. But most of our lines are pretty clean, but we hope it'll help.
Sorry.
Well, you have these.
Thanks, Nancy.
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay, sounds good. Okay, so that takes care of all of the funds other than the taxing funds. So that's what we're gonna start on June 2nd, and we'll see what kind of agenda you have going on the 2nd. And we might try to put quite a few budgets in there on the 2nd so that we can be coming close to getting our mill levy figured out.
Are you saying be prepared? Is that what you're telling us?
Maybe.
Okay. Thanks, Melinda.
Thanks.
Item 11D, appointment to the Cultural Relations Board. A memo from Maggie and Ashley in your packet. The recommendation is the appointment of Stephanie Juarez.
Make a motion, we approve the recommendation for the appointment of the Culture Relations Board.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Item E, the consent agenda, approve the items 1 through 3. G.
I move that we approve the consent agenda items E1 through 3G.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried.
And then if the commission would entertain going into executive session for 10 minutes for matters concerning non-elected personnel.
I move that the city commission go into executive session at this time for the purpose of discussing matters of non-elected personnel and their contractual obligations, because if this matter were discussed in open session, it might invade the privacy of those discussed, and that the city commission reconvene in open session in the city commission chambers at 2:08.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried.
I guess I kind of messed up the dance a little bit. Like we normally do, staff reports, but it's a short.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess the next item is commissioner reports.
Who do you want?
Commissioner Long?
Attended, as did I think all of us, the Peace Officers Memorial last Friday, and you know, since I've been going those the last quite a few years now, you know, it's something I kind of look forward to now. You know, it's usually a nice morning. The sun's coming over the building right as we're doing that, and it's certainly a worthy cause. So I applaud the police department and sheriff and even the highway patrol, you know, and that come out and go through all their routines, and it's a good thing to see and a great thing to do. Unfortunately, we had a rougher than normal year, and hopefully that won't be the case again. So the next day was Armed Forces Day, and there's another segment of the people that you know, go out there and both locally and abroad and put their life on the line every day for us. So we certainly appreciate that, those folks too. I'd like to thank the Fennett Foundation for their continued success, or their continued contributions to the city and a lot of other projects, and what a great organization, and what a boon that's been to this area over the last 100 years or whatever, to have that there, and their decision to make Garden City a large benefactor. So that's all I have.
Commissioner Sessa?
Yeah, I'd like to piggyback on what Commissioner Law said and thank the Fennett Foundation for their continued support and the capital funds that they're giving the city to improve and enhance our community. I like the improvements that I've seen at in the various attractions and features at the zoo. That's a real enhancement in our community. One quick question, I was wondering, is the trail completed at the zoo? Or it is? Okay. Then I'd like to congratulate Chief Hawkins on his retirement, and hopefully he looks forward to that. I'd like to welcome Amanda Hanson, who's our intern here, helping out today. There is 2 days of school left that we have. I did hand out a flyer talking about the community summer feeding kickoff. That'll start at Florence Wilson on June 2nd at 10:30. They're inviting the dignitaries to show up at that event to kick that off. That'll go through the summer. It's a feeding program, and it's free for children ages 1 through 18. And there's a number of areas in the community that they do that. It's also they have the Kids Meals on Wheels program that follows the Books on the Bus program around the community as well. And then my other thing that I'd like to, May 29th is the last date to nominate a teacher. I'm the chairperson of the Crystal Apple Awards, so if you have a favorite teacher out there, please nominate them through the Crystal Apple Awards. And it's a really prestigious recognition program, not only for Garden City, all the schools in Garden City, but also in Holcomb. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Commissioner Dale?
Okay, I agree with both what Commissioner Law and Commissioner Cessna said about the Finna Foundation and the veterans, or not the Veterans Day, but the, I believe that's Armed Forces Day. And I'd like to thank Sam and his crew that supplied manpower and trucks over the weekend in partnership with the Finney County and cleaning up of the river. That was done by volunteers from Sagebrush and various Jeep organizations that participate in the activities that go on in the river. And I would encourage citizens that if they see landfill, or not landfill, but if they see trash being dumped down there, if they can get a tag, please call into dispatch and let them know, so we can probably try to keep that a little cleaner down there. I'd like to say goodbye to Scott. I'll miss his shiny face here on Commission Day. It's been a pleasure to work with him. He's a person that when you do talk to, you can trust him, and you know that he's going to get it right. And so it's been a pleasure to work with him. I'd like to encourage the people out in the community to go along with the laws pertaining to fireworks. Otherwise, we probably will be back readdressing this issue again. I would like them somehow that if both the police chief or Mr. Lieutenant Hughes or Captain Hughes, I'm not sure what you are today, but and Chief Shelton, when you were talking to the press and everything, emphasize we do shut them down at 10 o'clock.
10:30.
Is it 10:30? And if that's the case, then we need to enforce it, and go from there. Then if we're doing our part by enforcing it, we can make citizens happy that we're going to do that. The worst thing is if we start ignoring it and we get complaints, then we're going to be right back here again. We're going to get some of those complaints anyway. But it's a controllable thing if they can shoot them legally. Otherwise, the police department will not have the manpower to go out there and patrol and do what they have to do. So this is something we'll have to take, that we could be readdressing this situation again next year, but everybody go out and have fun. I myself attended the memorial for law enforcement officers that gave the ultimate in sacrifice for as long as we've been recognizing them. This year alone, I think my stats that I was able to dig up, there's been 41 law enforcement officers that have given their life in the line of duty this year. Of that 41, 10 of them were killed. That's a lot. That's very sad that to some degree our nation is not respecting and shows respect to our officers. And I regret that because there's going to be more lives probably lost. I think we are in a community of just a melting pot of a lot of people, but we also have a great respect for our law enforcement officers and the pride that they show when they are out there working in the field. And I do take my hat off to them and to the staff of the police department and their training of those officers to represent our city well. And I will keep you all in my prayers and thoughts that your life will be not taken. That's all I have.
Commissioner Fankhauser.
I just wanted to mention that the continued support of the Finnip Foundation, and I really think the whole community benefits from that, and they've been steadfast in their giving. So, and I'd also like to thank Commissioner Law for filling in for me last week. So I filled in for him this week, you know. So adjust the arrangement, would you? Okay. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Well, I also want to again say thank you to our law enforcement, and I felt very honored and privileged to be able to speak at the event in behalf of the citizens of Garden City to express our gratitude for all that you do. And also would like to congratulate Chief Hawkins on his retirement and wish him well. We will miss him terribly. And thank him for all his 31 and a half years of service and 19 as Chief of Police. And also like to thank the Finnip Trust for their continued donation. The impact of what that organization has done for our community is tremendous. And that's all I have. Anything else?
No.
In that case, this meeting is adjourned.
All right.